Broadcasting from Hollywood, it's the official On Air with Brandon J podcast. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brandon. Welcome to On Air with Brandon J. I'm joined by a special guest. Now, this guest, this artist, producer, songwriter, it's super unique because he comes from Dubai, the UAE. And when I heard his sound, I was like, this is incredible because it's a sound that you think of when you hear of producers like Afrojack and Martin Garrix and Calvin Harris and all these great producers. I mean, my mind is going blank because there's so many great producers, Lil Jon, Timbaland, the list goes on. But I am excited to have an exclusive with this gentleman because he does interviews rarely. His name is Ramin Bidar. Ramin, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Brandon. It's great to see you, and thanks for having me on your show.
Man, it's great to have you here. And you know what's interesting about your sound? When I heard you were from Dubai, you know, when I first got introduced to your music and everything, I was like, dude, he sounds like he's in the US and he's already got platinum and diamond status records on the wall. So the first thing I want to ask you, what was it like transitioning from Dubai to the USA?
Well, it wasn't easy. The transition was a big change in my life. It had a big impact in my life, but it was all about achieving my goals. It took about, I can say, 7 to 8 years for me to get to the US and finally establish and work on music. Nothing but just music. I started like 8 years ago. I came here for the first time. And, you know, I was here as a tourist and I was just looking around for opportunities. And then I came to the US with one vision in mind, just how to become established here as an international artist. And it wasn't easy. You know, you're here in a new country, and you know, as someone who was just new in this country, it wasn't easy. So I was just looking for connections, and the best way was, you know, just to know people as much as I could, and start from there and make a lot of great music as much as I could, and present it to anybody I knew, because that's how I felt I could start and, you know, take my progress. So anyway, it took 7 years and I'm here now.
That is incredible. So 7 years. So going back to the moment of when let's just go back in time when you were a child in Dubai. What inspired you to pursue this wonderful world of music, becoming a producer, becoming a songwriter, becoming a DJ?
Okay. You know, just like any other artist, we all were inspired by our favorite singers and songwriters and producers.
Who were your favorite singers and songwriters? Just name, you don't have to name all of them. Just give us a few.
I don't have many. I have only 2 or 3 people that I, you know, based my whole dreams around. And that started with Michael Jackson. Anybody who knows me, they know I love Michael Jackson. So that was the first. That's, you know, how it started. And then eventually I got into the rock scene, into the rock world. You know, I had a band and everything, and that was with Kiss. And then after Kiss was Tiesto, which influenced me to start DJing and producing my own songs. Actually, produce electronic music. So that's how it got started. Tiesto actually is the main influencer here.
That's incredible. So now we're gonna skip a few years, actually a lot of years. So we're gonna go to the most recent release you had that had some success, garnered success. It hit #1 on the digital radio tracker top 150 independent airplay chart, In Front of Me. Like, how did you? What inspired you to come up with that concept of In Front of Me, the lyrical content?
I had I was a big fan of one of Tiesto's songs, big hits, the song "Boom," and I loved how the bass line sounded in that track. It was like a really dark, heavy sounding track, and it was not something that was just that fitted in the underground world. It sounded very commercial. Anybody who would hear that song would love it. So I said, I want to do something like that, but in my own way. So that's why I did something like that, and I also added some great lyrics, vocals, of course, with the help of my collaborators. Who that was Elijah McCoy and uh, yeah, and this, of course, the vocalist. I forgot his name. Hookman. Damn, the coffee, you know. But yeah, Hookman was on it. Elijah McCoy was on it, and they all collaborated. We all wrote the song together, and it turned out to be a great track. We were all happy with it, and it made it number one to digital radio tracker, and it was a very proud moment. And yeah, that was just a that was the first single since I got moved to the U.S. I moved here in 2019, and since then, that was my biggest hit.
Well, what's interesting, Ramin, about you mentioned the year of 2019. It was right before everything shut down here in the US. Well, not just in the US, but worldwide for COVID-19. And I think COVID-19, I don't know if you can relate to this, and you may agree or disagree, but it hindered a lot of our abilities for releases. However, it sparked a new level of creativity. Like for example, I launched the Brandon J show on Zoom, and I realized, like, hey, I don't have to be in the studio per se with Ramin Bidar or this individual. I can do this interview with Kevin Rudolph from my living room. Do you think that COVID-19, that amount of time, it allowed you to become more creative?
For sure. Actually, COVID-19 was, it had its negative side and its positive side. Negative side was for me as an artist, I couldn't get on stage, I couldn't put out shows, no live shows, which was okay for me because I felt I needed to spend some more time in the studio. And I took it as an opportunity, So I was like, it's a great time to just lock myself at home and just work on all these musical ideas that I had. And it was a great time because I produced a lot of ideas, and it was just a great practice and a great time for me to work on a lot of my musical ideas that I'm intending to release in the near future.
That's incredible. So now this leads me into my next question. And guess what? You're the guinea pig today because I've never asked this question. But what does a perfect year in 2023 look like for Ramin Bidar? If I could ask you, what is your ultimate vision, where you see yourself in terms of goals, in terms of accolades, in terms of accomplishments, what would you say?
The biggest thing that could happen with my career right now is to put out great live shows. This has been something I've been looking forward to, for a very long time. My goal was to come to the US, aside from just making music, but put out great live DJ shows. And so far, I didn't have the opportunity because first, I was, we were all involved with the COVID and shutdown and all that. And then I was supposed to start performing in 2022, but due to a sports injury that occurred like a few years ago, I was kind of I had this fear in me that I might gonna like collapse on stage or something because I injured my right knee playing football or soccer, like how they say in the U.S. So I wasn't so confident to get on stage. So thank God, with the grace of with the Lord and everything, I got to have my knee surgery, and I'm recovered, and I'm ready to look forward for 2023, putting out great shows for my fans.
That's awesome. I mean, when I look
Thank you for
this
tuning
year,
in to On
Ramin,
Air
it
with
has
Brandon J.
passed
Follow
by
on Instagram
within a
at I
blink of
am
an eye. I'm
Brandon
like, oh my God, are
J.
we really going into 2023 in just a few months? But to see an artist, to see a producer, a songwriter of your caliber be able to transition from one extreme to the other, being Dubai, the Middle East, to the USA, it shows a lot about your tenacity, about your drive, and all of those things. And this leads me into my next question. Ramin, what advice do you have for those artists out there that have an opportunity to pursue their dream, right? We all have an opportunity, right? We have free will to do whatever we desire to do. What advice would you give them of some of the biggest obstacles to avoid pursuing this daunting world of music?
The first advice that I would give to anybody starting anything is to obtain knowledge of what you want to do. So let's say in the music world, know a little bit about music theory, know your software, know your tools that you want to make music with. So like let's say, yeah, so we all make music today with software, whether it's a musical instrument or a software. Know that tool, study the tool, obtain knowledge. And of course, it's not only talent, it's not only music. You got to have a great personality. This is the key to that will take you a long way. If you think you're like great in music or great in whatever you do, but you don't have a good personality, you will not be welcomed, and you won't last long. You need to have great personality, of course, great talent, but also you need to know the business side of things, because that's where you will fail. We have a lot of great producers, a lot of great songs out there, but everyone's struggling to get heard. Yeah, so you need to know a little bit about the music, the business side. And thank God with today's opportunities that we have, social media is the biggest thing that you can use to get heard out there. You know, I think just, when you finish making music and everything, as a beginner or even as a pro, all you need to do is just run social media ads, YouTube, Instagram. That will get you a long way. That will get you great results. Social media now is one of the best ways to get an audience, to get fans.
Absolutely. I could not say it any better. Great advice, Ramin Bidar. Ramin, if people want, oh, actually, you know what? There's some gossip, and I just want to ask you this question. What is up with this song that you're doing with Neon Hitch?
Well, I got the opportunity to meet her here in Miami, and in no time we got in the studio and started recording, and we had a great session together. And very, very soon I'll be done with producing our song, and I can't wait to share it with the world, because this time it's not a four on the floor house beat like in front of me. It's different, and that's what I love. I love to do different things every time. I just don't like to produce the same style, and I love everything. So this is like a very interesting pop, hip hop, trap style track that I'm doing with her, and I'm very excited to share it with the world.
That's very cool. You definitely got to give me the exclusive so I can play it here on air with Brandon J.
You'll be the first one to hear it, Brandon. You know that.
Thank you so much, Ramin. I mean, it's always great, having a candid conversation with you, and I think that you've given some great caveats in terms of advice, in terms of hurdles, things that you've personally dealt with that maybe some artists and producers are afraid to share.
Talking about advice, here's the one thing that I forgot to mention. Of course, no matter what anybody wants to do in life, we will always face and struggle with obstacles, but that shouldn't stop you. Even if it takes longer, but don't stop, because all of us will go this. If you want to do something professionally, it's not going to be easy. No matter what field that is, any field, even if you want to paint anything, any field, you want to do it professionally, you will face obstacles that will slow you down, that will get you depressed, that will get you sad, angry. There's going to be negative people around you. So don't let that stop you. Just move forward. Even if you have to fight it, just fight it and push through. And I'm sure if your intentions are pure in this process, you will get to where you want to be.
Great advice. Ramin, where can they follow you?
Well, Ramin Bidar, if you type that on Google, you'll get my social media, access to my social media accounts. That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, I'm pretty active on everything. I think I'm very active on Instagram, so you can check out my music. My songs are on YouTube. Ramin Bidar, that's Ramin, last name Bidar, Bidar.
Great having you on the show, Ramin. Congrats on all the success with In Front of Me. Congrats on the new collab with Neon Hitch. Looking forward to hearing it. And thank you for being a special guest today, Ramin Bidar, right here on On Air with Brandon J. I'm Brandon. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to On Air with Brandon J. Follow on Instagram at I am Brandon J.